And according to the World Bank, 4,000 schools will not resume, while unvaccinated health workers will not be allowed to access the health facilities.
Aimed at improving health services in the country, Mr. Museveni reiterated that the newly qualified medical doctors were assured of a salary of 5 million shillings per month with effect from the 2022-2023 financial year, and said there is no need to create friction while following up on the matter of an enhanced salary.
From 19, and I'm glad Mzee Omaswa is here, from 1979, we had some arguments with the doctors. In 1979, the doctors went on a strike. I remember I met them in a hall of the nursing something. There is some lecture theater there.
The president said that the NRM government will work out a system where the enhanced salaries 50% of the scholarships in public universities, and pledged to provide a facility of tax-free vehicles to medical doctors starting from the next financial year. Dr. Sam Oledo, the president of Uganda Medical Association, thanked President Museveni for attending to their requests and for his outstanding role, especially towards eliminating the COVID-19 pandemic and terrorism.
We acknowledge the effort of the government to invest in health infrastructure, equipment, ambulances, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, Your Excellency, there are still major gaps in availability of medicines and supplies within the health facilities.
Museveni appealed to the doctors to work and ensure that they achieve the goal of preventing diseases, noting that it was more effective and affordable to take disease preventive measures and avoid the practice of waiting to attend to patients. Dennis Ikoa for UBC News.
Now, Parliament has passed the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill of 2021 to allow workers access their savings midway before the official retirement age. This follows an outcry from workers that resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic that rendered people financially stagnant. The bill has granted disabled workers 50% midterm access, as their able-bodied counterparts are recommended for 20% access after serving for 10 years.
I voluntarily kept it there. I get it anytime I want.
Who will supervise the National Social Security Fund?
You in gender, if you want expertise from finance, must you put it in the law?
Is it Ministry of Finance?
Then you amalgamate all the investment, compute the interest and declare the interest.
Or Gender, Labor and Social Development?
Put finance, put finance, put finance, put finance. So for you, what are you going to supervise?
These are some of the questions that surfaced as Parliament sat to debate the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill of 2021. The discussions were meant to put right what was cited by the head of state as wanting in the previous amendment that he declined to assent to.
The purpose was to help someone get out of a difficult situation. And therefore, the fund must be mindful of that. And that is why we even considered the 60 days as opposed to 90, that the minister wanted to try and expedite this process. It's been here too long.
After over 2 hours of deliberations, a decision was reached and the bill was passed, having resurfaced on the floor on Tuesday afternoon.
I beg to move that the bill entitled the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill 2021 be read the third time and do pass.
Honorable members, the motion is that the bill entitled the National Social Security Amendment Bill 2021 be read for the third time and do pass. I put the question to that motion. Those in favor, to the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Members of Parliament have welcomed this milestone that they describe as long awaited.
The implication now is that even if you have one employee, you will be eligible to contribute for that employee, and the employee will also be eligible. So the impact is heavy To all of us who have house girls, who have, as long as you pay that person a salary, you'll need to contribute 10% as an employer to the fund, and that employee will also have to contribute 5%.
But we know the president was strongly opposed, the reason why this bill returned to Parliament, and the president had requested Parliament to review that decision. And today, Parliament has reviewed that decision and accepted that the supervision can be shared, finance will handle financial matters, gender will handle policy principles regarding labor relationships.
Persons with disabilities will be granted midterm access of up to 50% of their accrued benefits once they clock 40 years of age. Their able-bodied counterparts, on the other hand, will receive 20% at 45 years of age after serving for not less than 10 years. The National Female Member of Parliament for Persons with Disabilities, Laura Kanusu, has appreciated this milestone.
And the justification was clear that as persons with disabilities, when we lose our jobs, it is almost impossible to get another job. But also our life expectancy is not the same as the able-bodied people. So while the other people have remained at 45 and the 55, which is the final one, for us persons with disabilities, we've been allowed to have our midterm access of 50% at 40 years. And also access the remaining 50% when we are 55.
The bill now awaits presidential endorsement before taking effect after 60 days. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Meanwhile, voluntary servers under NSSF will now be able to access their funds at any time of their convenience. The new NSSF amendment bill that has been passed by Parliament does not restrict voluntary servers on midterm access. Susan Nawonga has more.
Savings is that I should come in, and then when I want to leave or I need my money, I should be able to access it straight away.
Employers and workers under the NSSF voluntary membership plan are not compelled by the mandatory provision of the Act to save for their retirement under the existing NSSF Act Cap 222. The mode of exit for voluntary savers was upon making 50 years of age before a lump sum or annuity was paid to the member.
Then midterm access would only apply to mandatory savers, because it would not apply to voluntary savers because their conditions of access are different.
The new amendments passed by Parliament will now provide for free access to all those under the voluntary savings scheme anytime at any age, contrary to the previous provision.
The Principal Act had provided for voluntary savings, but it had not provided for how a member can withdraw or access that voluntary savings in case they are pressed.
Upon passing of the new amendments that had been sent back to Parliament by the President is a clause which relaxes these conditions on voluntary savings.
We have amended that section and we are now saying that a voluntary member has unfettered access, meaning they can access up to 100% of the amount saved voluntarily.
Members of Parliament say this will now increase the number of savers on the voluntary scheme.
So it will go to any form of employee who can contribute. Even when you don't have an employer, you can contribute.
The voluntary savings plan was launched in 2017 to give room for employers who are not bound by the law to save with the fund. This was also meant to give room to employees in the private sector who were not beneficiaries of the fund.
Those people who are doing business, you can also save with us, because NSSF, first of all, gives more interest, and when we have more money in the pool, we have a lot to benefit out of it.
Under the NSSF voluntary scheme, contributions can now be fixed or vary, that's to say made on daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually and annually. However, most interesting is that your savings will attract returns on what you save. Susan Nawonga reporting for UBC TV.
Ministry of Education and Sports is set to renovate the school's infrastructure towards reopening of schools set for January 2022. Now, while opening the sector stakeholders symposium, the Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, expressed urgent need of the sector's response from tutors and teachers' orientation.
After 2 years of closure, the education sector registered the worst crisis of the century, which requires a multi-sectoral approach for the resumption. The Ministry of Education and Sports is engaging sector stakeholders on how safe and proper reopening can be done.
In line with this, the Ministry developed a multi-sectoral strategy with COVID-19 related interventions under 3 broad objectives. One is to ensure vaccination of the population, focusing on all staff and students aged 18 years and above.
The Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, while opening the stakeholders' engagement through Makerere University Council Chairperson Lona Magara, confirmed the readiness of the ministry for commencement.
Public primary schools to cater for the expected increased enrollment at primary 1. The ministry will continue mobilizing for additional resources to implement essential interventions for educational institutions, safe and sustainable reopening.
Minister has revealed the program of orienting tutors and teachers for proper sectoral recovery.
Renovation and repair of schools, enhancing continuity of learning, review of the school curriculum for recovery of lost learning time.
During the 2 years period of agony to the ministry, several interventions were invented to reach approximately 2 million school-going population, but poor infrastructure failed its effectiveness.
E-learning is adapted and implemented without disadvantaging those learners without access. We are cognizant of the challenges of access to internet because of both limited connectivity and the high cost of data.
World Bank reviewed local interventions facilitating distance learning, and more than a half of the intended population was not reached.
The policy of remote learning alternatives varied, and many education systems were unable to offer remote instruction that covered the equivalent of what students learned in school through their normal educational programs.
The World Bank research prospects 30% of students not going back to school and over 4,000 schools likely not to resume.
100% increase in depression and anxiety symptoms in children globally. We've also witnessed over $16 trillion of loss in future income. 370 million children in 150 countries missed out on a daily school meal, which was not always made up for at home.
The education sector is expected to leverage on technology to respond to the dynamic demands.
It is going to come to a time when so many children want to come to get a university education, and we don't have the facilities in Uganda. That's why we came up with that online policy, and the intention was that a lot of children can actually study online. They don't have to come physically to the university.
It should be noted that COVID-19 pandemic was clustered by World Bank as the worst century crisis, which warrants new innovations by leveraging on technology to deal with the multi-sectoral challenges. Abdul Nasile Lubwama and Lydia Chomkama for UBC News.
And the Prime Minister, Robina Nabbanja, has today met the American ambassador to Uganda, Natalie Brown, to review the development cooperation between the two countries. Emphasis was put on the need to have a shift from providing aid to strengthening trade and investment. The meeting took place at the office of the Prime Minister in Kampala.
The Prime Minister, Robina Nabbanja, welcomed the new U.S. ambassador and assured her about Uganda's continued excellent bilateral relations with the United States of America. She informed the ambassador that Uganda has put trade and investment at the center of its foreign policy. The Premier therefore welcomed the U.S. government efforts to supporting bilateral trade and investment between the two countries. About Uganda's fight against COVID-19, the Prime Minister thanked the U.S. for providing vaccines and PPE equipment.
We have intensified on the mobilization. We are going to mobilize our people, the leaders, local level, and of course national. All of us now, our major focus is mobilization so that we can take the vaccines and open the economy.
The Prime Minister also informed the ambassador about the policy shift in managing disasters in Uganda. She said government was considering urbanization, reforestation, and buying alternative land to settle disaster victims. On her part, the American ambassador, Natalie Brown, expressed concern about a number of issues, which included delay in opening of schools, merging of government institutions, and suspension of the democratic governance facility that was funding NGOs.
You mentioned the significant U.S. investment in Uganda, and so much of that is carried out through civil society organizations. We couldn't do the work we do in combating malaria or HIV/AIDS.
Commenting about the merging of government agencies, the Prime Minister informed the ambassador that this was done to avoid duplication of services to save resources. The meeting was also attended by the Senior Private Secretary to the Prime Minister, Rose Alenga. Doreen Nasasira reporting for UBC News.
Meanwhile, hundreds of students have turned up for the mass COVID-19 vaccination exercise, which is taking place at Kampala International University. The university launched the 3 days exercise, which has targeted both students and the neighboring community.
Hundreds of students have turned up for mass COVID-19 vaccination at Kampala International University, and this is in line with the Ministry of Health guidelines that both students and teaching staff for institutions of higher learning should vaccinate against COVID-19 as a prerequisite for reopening of institutions.
Able to respond to our arrangement to have mass vaccination, and we've been carrying out statistics on a daily. Whoever enters the gate, we check their status, whether they've had the first jab, or they've had the second jab, or they've had no jab. And so we've created this window with the help of the Ministry of Health, working through Kampala Capital City Authority.
The Vice-Chancellor Kampala International University, Professor Muhammad Mpinzamihigo, appealed to students to take advantage of the ongoing exercise and take the COVID-19 jab, because mandatory COVID-19 vaccination cards will be required soon for one to have access to the university premises.
I think it's good for everyone to be vaccinated, since it has become a prerequisite to every institution, and when you go to certain places, you can't access certain things just because you're not vaccinated.
And why we are vaccinating really as Uganda, as now we see in Uganda, people are dying because of COVID.
Some students are taking it for granted. They think it's just a normal thing, but we think even during exams they're going to ask us for the card.
What happens after? We are saying we have opened a window of opportunity for them. They do not have any other excuse. When we block them to enter the campus, they will have no excuse, except those who have a medical authority that bars them or delays them from getting vaccination.
Whereas vaccination is still ongoing, the university has not fully opened for academic learning of all students.
Otherwise, at the moment, we are running an academic schedule that is calendared very, very well, in a way that we are giving first priority those students who have a semester to complete. The second priority are those students who have practicals to do. And then the third are the first years who need to have an induction, preparation and settlement within their university. Most of them have been out of school for like almost 2 years.
According to the Ministry of Health, there are 6,178,631 Ugandans vaccinated against COVID-19, with 127,267 cumulative cases. Cumulative recovery is standing at 97,324, with a total of 3,250 people succumbing to COVID-19. Sada Ubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Two Bududa district officials have fled the district in an attempt to evade arrest, having mismanaged government-funded projects worth 7 billion shillings. Now, officials accused of tampering with the payroll and pension include the district human resource officer, and the district engineer who escaped during the monitoring exercise conducted by the Minister of State for Economic Monitoring, Peter Agwang.
Police in Bududa district is hunting for district human resource officer and the district engineer who mysteriously vanished, having mismanaged government projects worth 7 billion shillings through altering figures of the staff on the payroll and pension.
Underpayment, overpayment of gratuity and pension, and attached list I have it. The most affected workers are teachers, health workers, and pensioners. This has been happening for a period over a year, leading to balance of close to 1 billion shillings. How do you do that? Where is the HR here? Actually, that one should begin to be DPC. That one should be the first to report the statement before even the Minister of Public Service comes here.
The Chief Administrative Officer Bududa District, Pista Namulondo, defended the officials by blaming government for not doing enough in regulating cement factories, something she believes affects the quality of the cement. But this claim was refuted by Peter Ogwang, Minister of State for Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President.
Why should the cracks be seen in the government facilities and not in the private facilities? So I don't agree with those lame excuses. I don't.
This further irked Ogwang, who directed for the arrest of the errant officers.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm told the engineers is on the run, same as the human resource officers. So it's not my work to arrest, but the officers, the responsible officers, which do that. So that's all. The rest, the law will take its course. So I request that we move on.
Minister of State for Karamoja Affairs, who doubles to be the area woman member of parliament, Agnes Nandutu, vowed to deal with the errant officials in a bid to improve service delivery in the district.
Work without fear or favor. Whether we are criticized by the technical people that we are sniffing into the affairs of the district, we are going to do so. Because what we have seen on the ground is really disheartening. The people who are meant to benefit from these things, and the councillors have no knowledge of the money that comes to the district. The people who receive the money are the bosses of the district. They cough and the councillors go down to sleep.
Today, Ogwang was in Bolamboli district finalizing his monitoring exercise in Vocational. I'm Navka Farida and Joseph Oko.
Advocates for renewable energy have called on government to waive taxes on all components of renewable energy solutions to make cooking options affordable, especially in the rural areas. While launching the National Renewable Energy Platform with the aim of coming up with policies for transitioning towards achieving clean energy at Mestil Hotel in Kampala, the Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, said banks are now transiting from investing in petroleum to renewable energy.
Uganda's global contribution to the green gas emission is 0.01, but the country is obliged to make sure that it cleans its environment because climate change had adverse effects on the infrastructure, agriculture, human resource and affordability of electricity. The fact that Uganda has the equator pass through it, it has capacity for solar energy of 5.4 kilowatts per kilometer per day throughout the year. The solar capacity in Uganda is at 5,000 megawatts and therefore cannot rely on hydro energy because the hydrology in Uganda's rivers is not reliable. Although these resources for renewable energy are available, there is a challenge of the technologies not being compatible with the target users.
So much as we have a high potential, the area of intervention should be research and development to make sure that what we bought or what exists already can be applied here.
Government has waived taxes on some renewable energy components like solar panels and batteries, but stakeholders say this is not enough to make cooking solutions affordable.
Wants to use a solar cooker to cook. The solar panel is not going to be taxed. The battery in the solar cooker is not going to be taxed, but the saucepan that is customized for that solar cooker is going to be taxed. So at the end of the day, it still makes the whole solar cooking expensive.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development believes that once there are policies for renewable energy, development partners will come and support the transition.
Programs like waste to power, where we are using waste to do biogas, and that is also supported. We have a program on developing energy-saving stoves. We have a program on building biomass plants using cow dung.
Government has also emphasized developing Uganda's petroleum industry, bearing in mind that there is need to reduce emissions.
We are going to use that gas, which is normally flared. We are going to harvest it and turn it into LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. This liquefied petroleum gas is not all that 100% clean, but it is better than using biomass. It's better than using firewood.
Government is targeting to increase electricity production by 60% in 2025 and 80% access to modern energy by 2040. I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
And residents of Kakajo zone in Chisenyi, a suburb of Kampala, have asked government to render them a hand after fire gutted their homes and businesses yesterday, leaving many of them homeless.
The fatal fire incident destroyed property and over 40 houses were brought down, leaving many displaced homeless and helpless. According to residents, someone interested in owning the area's land could have done the dubious act to chase them away. UBC TV this morning revisited the scene and found the victims busy trying to create makeshift shelters for nightlife survival. Residents asked the government to run to their rescue. In another development, security was called in immediately along Dasta Street near Nakasero Market and Radio 1 when public sought response following 3 bags allegedly assumed to be containing bombs. Security was beefed up and the entire place was cordoned off. Searching as a precaution for tracing any harmful items was at its peak, with the sniffer dogs looking out for any deadly weapon. Eventually, it was discovered that the alleged bags that created panic contained no elements of threat and were taken to Central Police Station. Kampala Metropolitan Police Deputy Spokesman Luku Owesigire highlighted about the incident and what was found in the bags. He, however, asked Ugandans to always stay vigilant.
Responded to a call after members of the public were suspicious of some bags that were abandoned and they didn't know the owner of the bags. Of course, we responded, and after responding, our bomb squad was also informed. They came and searched the bags, and there hasn't been any bomb in the bags that was found. There were only clothes appealing to members of the public to properly dispose of their bags or anything they have within their midst, because it causes anxiety among the members of the public if something is poorly placed.
I'm Ivan Joko, reporting for UBC News.
Ministry of Education and Sports has embarked on vocationalizing the education program to include disability skills services. A Directorate of Industrial Training will assess the disabled youth in different vocational occupations under the dual curriculum with the aim of producing graduates with employable skills.
The youth with complex disability are to access inclusive vocational training and market-driven skills to enable them to compete on the labour market. The European Union is supporting Kasese International Uganda to train the youth of Mbale, Teso, Busoga and Bukedi regions in carpentry, hairdressing, tailoring, knitting, among others. The project officer in Kasese International Uganda, Naluja Resti, calls on government to equip institutions with user-friendly training equipment and adjust the time frame for the learners.
But now we are getting skills, so we are now in advocacy that they should be allowed to work, they should be given employment, and also startup kits.
The Directorate of Industrial Training will identify the modular which are tailor-made for special needs and certify the youth with complex disability.
We have developed modules, even we have modules which are tailor-made towards people with special needs. For instance, the making tiles, tiling the surface, specialized training in tailoring for people with special needs. So those modules are critical, and we have been assessing, we have an experience of assessing people with special needs.
By acquiring the employable skills, people with disabilities would be able to earn a living, support themselves and become quality citizens of Uganda.
The main objective of this project is to see that as these learners attain those vocational skills, they are able to practice them and transit into the world of formal or informal employment.
Stakeholders from the Ministry of Education, Gender and other development partners are meeting in Kampala to iron out concerns over the inclusive education of youths with complex disability. I'm Nafka Farida and Ganga Henry.
Well, with that, we'll take a quick break. When we return, more details. This is News Tonight.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Guletedde MTN Kabode esimu ya smart gy'osobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yeno eri eya kavi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga *655*2 okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduuka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nnusu 15 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo weefunire Kabode kati dish.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Raising voices.
As a teacher, I have the opportunity to shape how children grow and learn. I believe in creating a non-violent school where children
feel safe and respected. I promise to lead by example and create a different kind of relationship with my learners, one that helps them grow.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Introducing the all-new Roofing's TMX 500C rebars with cut and bend surfaces. Roofing's, strength of a nation.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language. I am Rodan Gonzi. The global shortage of health workers has led to a fierce competition among rich nations that are scrambling for any available health workers to fill their health system gaps through unregulated recruitments and clandestine migrations. The Director, African Center for Global Health and Transformation, Professor Francis Amaswa, says governments should adopt the World Health Organization Code to monitor and govern health workers.
The shortage of health workers globally comes at a time when medical doctors are on their third day of strike over lack of medical supplies, failure to increase their salary increment as promised by the appointing authority, among others. The Director, African Center for Global Health, Professor Francis Omaswa, says government should immediately look into the push factors affecting medical doctors because they are a target for nations scrambling for medical doctors.
Code provides for the needs of all the stakeholders, the needs of the countries where doctors come from, health workers come from, the needs of the countries where health workers go to, the needs of the individual health workers when they leave their country to go to another one, how they should be taken care of properly and not be mistreated. So this code exists. And what I would encourage is for Uganda, for example, to start to think about this code and to use it with countries like the UK.
Professor Francis Omaswa says government should fill the gaps of many vacancies at district levels and an increase of pay level of a minimum of 5 million shillings per month as directed by the President.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. We cannot achieve SDG 3 on health and well-being without health workers. There's a shortage all over the world. We can share them better using the code. But each government in each country needs to be organized so that they can make full use and benefit from the code for the good of their own people, the good of their health workers, and for achievement of SDGs.
The Director, Health Systems, African Center for Global Health, Dr. David Okello, says there is need of government to take a strong action before they take medical doctors.
They are also pushed to other things than they are trained to do. You find a midwife is pushed to go be selling clothes in a winter market because that's where there is some little money. And then, you know, the issue of attending to pregnant mothers suffers. So this code is a wake-up call for everybody. And I think
Dr. George William Biatohanga attributed this to corruption that is eating up the health sector.
And
they're waiting for the son of the soil.
The son of the soil. That is the term. The son of the soil. Okay? The son of the soil.
Between April and June 2021, the Tropical Health and Education, in partnership with the African Center for Global Transformation, ran 3 high-level meetings examining the role of the United Kingdom in relation to recruitment of health workers. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Ministry of Health has received a consignment of ophthalmoscopes from private partners Light for the World Uganda to ensure a reduction in the spread of COVID-19 during eye treatment. The Permanent Secretary, Dr. Diana Twina, received the equipment on behalf of the ministry at their headquarters in Kampala.
Since 2008, Light for the World and the National Intervention on Uncorrected Refractive Errors have been supporting provision of affordable local spectacles. Under this program, the organization has handed over eye health equipment worth 100,000 euros to the Ministry of Health.
But we know that we are committed to working with you. We are committed to making sure that even we see these services go higher and higher, and we are very glad because this equipment, it is going to 14 regional referral hospitals.
Now this is part of our strategy for the next 10 years from 2020, where we are really focusing on eye health. Initially we used to focus on what we called we were intervening on uncorrected refractive errors, which is basically short-sightedness and long-sightedness.
The equipment, which consists of 15 indirect ophthalmoscopes, 15 cataract kits targeting regional referral hospitals,
has increased our capacity, it has increased the equipment in our facilities, and also it has enabled the doctors, the ophthalmologists, have access to better equipment that can help to examine patients without necessarily coming nearer them, especially this time of COVID.
The donation will contribute to Uganda's effort to continue eye health activities during COVID-19 pandemic.
Awareness, prevention, we are looking at providing eyeglasses. We're also looking at doing even surgeries for those who need the surgeries to correct their eyesight.
Ministry of Health will ensure that people have equitable, inclusive access to quality eye health services in Mbale, Jinja, Lira, Gulu, Arua, Hoima, Chikube, Fort Portal, Mulago, and Entebbe General Hospital. This year, Light for the World Uganda launched a 10-year child eye health program that focuses towards reducing blindness and visual impairment. Haruna Mutesasira, UBC News.
Now, the Commissioner, Non-Communicable Diseases at the Ministry of Health, Charles Akia, has showed concern over the increasing cases of non-communicable diseases, especially amongst the urban population. The Chairperson, Parliamentary Forum on Non-Communicable Diseases, Dr. Nicholas Kamara, observed that there is a need for policies and laws to regulate the consumption of beverages and foods prone to cause non-communicable diseases. This was at the launch of Uganda Tobacco Industry Interference Index 2021 by Uganda National Health Consumers Organization at Mulago Cancer Institute in Kampala.
The newly launched Uganda Tobacco Industry Interference Index 2021 recognizes that tobacco industry interference is the greatest threat to national tobacco control efforts. Uganda National Health Consumers Organization observed that there is a conflict between the industry interests and the public health policy interests. During the launch at Mulago Cancer Institute, this is the reason the influx for cases of non-communicable diseases stands at 41%.
Secondly, government to invest more in enforcing the Tobacco Control Act. The third is notify law enforcers who are civil servants not to be influenced by the tobacco industry. And the other aspect is that when the cigarette taxes are raised, then such monies will come into the consolidated fund and they will support financing government programs. Thank you.
The Commissioner, Non-Communicable Diseases at the Ministry of Health, Charles Akia, said the index is timely, especially in addressing gaps in tobacco industry and public.
It's a very good achievement for this country, and it's a very clear indication that the government of Uganda is very committed and very supportive to address the risk factors related to tobacco use in this country. in order to reverse the increasing trend of non-communicable diseases.
The chairperson, Parliamentary Forum on Non-Communicable Diseases, Dr. Nicholas Kamara, says a policy and law are best option to scale down the contributors to non-communicable diseases.
If we increase the tax and a young person is going to buy tobacco at 2,000, where will you get the money from? We put the policy and the rule such that people do not pack cakes and juice, sugar juice and soda and all these things. And bread. You see, this is what people are packing.
Uganda National Health Consumers Organization proposes that duty-free sale of tobacco-related products for foreign travelers should be halted and penalties for unnecessary interactions with tobacco players need to be enforced. Robert Bwaita.
Now, all health workers who are not vaccinated against COVID-19 will not be allowed to access any government health facilities across the country. This was revealed by the ministry's Dr. Henry Mwebesa during the opening ceremony of the 8th National Health Sector Quality Improvement Conference held in Munyonyo under the theme Fostering Delivery of Quality Healthcare in the Context of COVID-19.
In the bid to curb the spread of the deadly virus of COVID-19, all health workers who are not vaccinated are advised to stay away from government facilities in the country. Dr. Henry Mwebasa, the Director General at the Ministry of Health, said this while addressing delegates at the 8th National Health Sector Quality Improvement Conference in Munyonyo.
I'm proud to say about 95% of our health workers have received vaccination. That's 142,000. Recently, we are saying that health workers who are not vaccinated will not be allowed to come back and work. Not that we are sacking them, but we are saying, since we are working in a dangerous environment in the health sector, that if you are not vaccinated, maybe it is better you vaccinate first, then you come. If you are in government health facilities, it may be difficult for you to come and work.
The Director General also disclosed the COVID-19 vaccination status, stating that 2.5 million Ugandans are fully vaccinated.
About 6.2 million doses of vaccine, and of those about 5 million have received the first dose, and about 1.2 have received the second dose. If we consider that we have vaccinated some people with Johnson & Johnson, which is a single dose, and so far we have used about 1.4 million of Johnson & Johnson, and then we have 1.1 million of those who have taken the second dose. We can say that about 2.5 million of our population is fully vaccinated as of now.
The Minister of Health stated that the quality of healthcare system in the country has been greatly affected by COVID-19 pandemic and has led to disruption of essential services.
But I would like to encourage you that many of those issues that we faced have been addressed. The issues of oxygen, come December, we hope so, will be history. Challenges that we met with some of the intensive care units and high dependency units have been addressed. And we are looking forward to many more human resources being recruited in the entire health sector structure up to health center 3s. So we do hope that the system will be strengthened.
While health organization representative in the country pledged continued support to the government.
That we must put machinery in place to monitor the implementation of the decisions we'll be making from this meeting. This is very important so that we can check ourselves and sustain the good work that is already ongoing.
The minister, together with health implementing partners, launched the National Quality Improvement Framework, Integrated Continuous Quality Improvement Database, among others. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2021 is back on Sunday, 28th November 2021, and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. in support of men, good health, and the fight against ending AIDS by 2030. It will be a virtual run in our various homes and communities around Uganda, with every participant following the Ministry of Health guidelines and SOPs to stop the spread of corona. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel Shops, New Park, Chagwe Road, ShopRite Building, Benchwanuka, Tobani Center, or Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5#, select payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2021, brought to you by UNAIDS, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Guletedde MTN Kabode esimu ya smart gy'osobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yeneeri eya kabi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga *655*2# okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduuka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nnusu 15,000 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo weefunire Kabode kati dish.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. Now in business news, the fish market at the border of Uganda and Congo in Mpondwe and Lubiriha Town Council Kasese district has been reopened following its closure 2 years ago due to COVID-19 pandemic. It has been opened by the State Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Helen Adoa.
It was all joy at the Mpondwe border following the reopening of fish trade after 2 years of closure. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, businesses including fish trade at the border and other places were halted for 2 years. However, the State Minister for Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries has opened fish trade at the border of Uganda and DR Congo. She said the women were the most affected during the closure.
Here today, as a minister in charge of fisheries, to reopen a fish market, and I declare this fish market open. You go to the clothes, whether you go to the tomatoes, whether you go to where, it is all women selling. And in fact, men have told me they have been suffering because their women are the ones who have been bringing food home. So today, men are happy that their women are back to business.
The minister has also warned URA and police officers operating at the border against corruption tendencies reported by some traders.
Just we take the fish there, let us also have fish for our people. Ugandans need to eat fish. The children in Uganda need to eat fish. But now if we deny them, because some of them get bribes, some of them get, I will not allow this. To
some fish traders, opening of the market alone is not enough, with the border still closed, which is the source of their customers.
Bilateral trade, it is the one that works here. It means we depend on each other. The Congolese depend on Ugandans, also Ugandans depend on Congolese. The customers for our fish are the Congolese.
And sisters from Congo, were freely coming here to buy the fish. So others, even Ugandans, can go there and buy. Even them, they come and buy. But these ones have not been having even a passport or an identity card. Some of them could not cross.
Kasese leadership say local revenue, which used to be generated from this market, is going to be realized once again.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Let's now talk sports. Federation of Uganda Football Association has zeroed down on its final 3 players from whom they will name the male FUFA Airtel Player of the Year. Originally, the list had 5, including Yunus Sentamu and Shafiq Kajimu, but is now to the final 3 of Bobopsi Biaruhanga, Eric Kambale and Aziz Kayondo. 2 of the 3 finalists play for Vipers Sports Club, while Eric Kambale was instrumental as Express FC clinched the league title last season. The Vipers duo of Aziz Kayondo and Bobopsi Biaruhanga played a key part in their club's Uganda Cup winning exploits and have also been summoned to the national team on several occasions. There will be 13 awards on the 4th of December at the Speak Resort Munyonyo, but the most pronounced are the male and female footballer of the year. For the women's category the contest is between Lady Dove's duo of Daisy Nakaziro and Fazila Ikwaput and Kampala Queens under 20 captain Fauzia Najemba. State Minister for Sport Samson Obua has clarified on the fate of the men's national basketball team that is likely to miss the World Cup qualifiers. The Silverbacks were meant to be in Angola for the qualifiers, but alleged lack of money has held them back in what the Federation called failure by government. But in what is a totally different view, the State Minister for Sport Samson Obua has clarified several reasons that caused the latest situation. Let's take a look.
Uganda should train. Why would the president of the federation submit a requisition to the office of the minister on the 22nd of November and the team is expected to travel on the 23rd latest and there is no list attached to the requisition? Who would you fault?
The federation.
Would you fault the office receiving the requisition on the 22nd? Or the person submitting the requisition on the 22nd and the team must travel letters on 23rd. That is one. Issue number 2 is that we have always told federations that the moment you receive advances from the consolidated fund, the accounting regulations are clear. Before you are advanced more money, you are supposed to file in your accountability. Now the accountability for funding received by the Basketball Federation more than 3 months ago was again filed on the very date they submitted their requisition for traveling to Angola for the World Cup qualifiers. Now, as we are consulting, the same person who has requisitioned government to consider sending a team is releasing a press conference to the effect that we have withdrawn. Look at the contradictions. Look at the dilemma.
And with that, let's recap on the headlines.
to you by
how to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
everywhere you go. MTN.
President Yoweri Museveni says there is no need for friction over enhanced salaries. The new amended NSSF bill lifts bail for voluntary servers to withdraw anytime. 4,000 schools will not resume, according to the World Bank. While unvaccinated health workers will not be allowed to access health facilities.
Was brought to you by everywhere you go. MTN.
Well, that does it for News Tonight. Thank you for sticking with us. Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Do stick around. Good night.
On UBC, my name is Kasese with today's weather update. We are seeing a reduction in wet activities in most parts of the country, apart from some few areas within lake shores and around the southwestern of our country is expected to have light showers. This is called for due to the lows that are over Indian Ocean, pulling the wet activities that are supposed to come into our country, depriving us of the rainfall we are supposed to receive. Though the rest of the rainfall that we are having lately is due to the local effects. Tomorrow morning, we expect to wake up with sunny, bright day in most parts of the country, apart from some few areas within the islands, expected to have light showers. Afternoon hours, we expect a pick-up of light showers in the southwestern of our country and a continuation of light showers within the islands, but the rest of the country is expected to continue with sunny intervals. Temperature to go high up, 32 degrees Celsius of maximum in northern part of our region and northwestern of our country. That is pretty hot, and across the lake shores, we are still seeing an increment in temperature of 30 degrees of maximum across the capital city Kampala. Apart from the Kabaka Highlands, we are seeing a reduction of 25 degrees Celsius. It is moving out of Kampala, traveling the cities across the globe. We're forecasting thunder showers in our neighborhood, Nairobi, at a maximum of 28 degrees Celsius. Moscow is still cold, of around 2 degrees Celsius. Dubai is pretty hot. New York and London expect to have sunny intervals at a maximum of 7 degrees Celsius across London. Thanks for tuning on UBC, and my name is Kasese. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow.
It's a new day.
nkuletedde MTN Kabode esimu ya smart gy'osobola okwefunira olwo n'ogisasula mpola nkugambye yene eri eya kavi ate nga tamanyi endala zonna mu katale ejjirako omuggo gwa yintaneti kati ky'oba okola gwenyiga *65*5*2# okebere oba osobola okwefunira MTN Kabode olumala okebera bw'oti dduka buddusi ku dduuka lya MTN lyonna eri kuli okumpi weefunire MTN Kabode olwo olyoka ogisasule mpola ng'osasula nnusu 15 zokka buli wiiki okumala emyezi 6 ng'okozesa MTN Momo weefunire Kabode kati
Everywhere you go, MTN.